the event because it's a live stream. So we're going live on YouTube in just a second. All right, and we are now officially live on YouTube. It looks like somebody's calling in from San Francisco. That's awesome. Good to have you here. All right, so let's get started. My name is Caroline Nickerson, and I'm from the SciStarter team. I am here today because it is Citizen Science Month. Citizen Science Month is essentially an extravaganza throughout all of April where we do nonstop citizen science. And at SciStarter, where I work, we do citizen science every day of the year. But April is kind of our excuse to take it up a notch. We have multiple events each day. There are so many different opportunities for you to engage and turn your curiosity about the world into real impact with citizen science. But today's event's special because it's in partnership with the Network of the National Library of Medicine and the All of Us Research Program, specifically All of Us California. This is the first of 6 events we're doing with different All of Us California partners to educate you about real ways that you can move medicine forward and contribute to an exciting precision medicine initiative. For each one of these events, we also will discuss another featured citizen science project that was selected in partnership with the Network of the National Library of Medicine. For today's event, we actually have 2. I'm going to be talking about the IC Change project, which allows you to delve into the environment and the changes you might see around you in terms of weather and climate, as well as the Stall Catchers project, which is actually a video game where by playing it, you're making annotations of blood vessels for researchers at Cornell University to help them speed up their search for a cure to Alzheimer's disease. This project's also featured in an event this Friday with the Network of the National Library of Medicine, where they're trying to see who can play the most to move the most research forward. It's really cool that we can have that friendly competition for the good of research. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm really excited for today because I'll be able to learn from Erickson Wilson and about All of Us California. For all of us, it is available across the United States. You can participate, but I know that there are ways you can look into the data and the discoveries that they're pioneering, even if you're outside of the States. So don't be discouraged if you're international. There's still a lot to learn today. But you can actually participate in the study if you're in the States. So I'm going to launch our first poll, and then I'll let Erickson introduce himself after that. So our first poll is, have you ever participated in a citizen science project before? And there are no wrong answers here. If you haven't, totally okay. We're going to give you all the tools you need to get started today. If you have, awesome. Hopefully you'll learn something new today. And if you're not sure, totally okay. We're going to give you everything you need to know to be sure. So I'll give you a few seconds to vote. All right, 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna end the poll. And we'll share those results. So it looks like the majority of you have never done citizen science, but quite a few of you have, and you're all welcome here. We're so glad you're here today to learn with us. All right, and we have another poll for you. We wanna know, have you ever heard of the All of Us Research Program before? Yes, no, unsure, just let us know. You've probably heard me mention it. I've brought it up in almost every Citizen Science Month program. If some of you have joined me for some of the online live stream events we've been doing throughout April. So I'll let y'all vote. All right, 3, 2, 1. Get your votes in. I'm about to end the poll. Last chance. And I'm gonna end the poll. And we'll share those results. So it looks like most of you have heard about the All of Us Research Program, 67% of you, but 33% of you haven't. So both are really exciting. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into the program today. So if you have heard of it, hopefully you'll learn something new about what the program's doing. And if you haven't, also great, you're going to learn about it. All right, this is our last question. We want to know a little bit more about you. So are you an aspiring citizen scientist, a parent of an aspiring citizen scientist, a teacher, an educator, a troop leader, etc.? Are you a librarian or part of a library staff? Are you a researcher or a practitioner? Are you just a bored person on the internet? or are you none of these? Any category is good. Select the one that resonates the most with you, or select all that apply. We just want to know a little bit more about the folks that we're talking to, so we can make sure that we're addressing all the things you want to hear about. I'll let you get your votes in. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to let us know in the comments any of your answers to these questions. All right, I'm going to end the poll. And I'll share those results. So it looks like quite a few of you are citizen scientists. We also have a parent here. We have a few educators in the room. We have one librarian, our library staff member. Great, welcome. We love libraries. We have 5 researchers here, and we also have 2 people who don't identify with any of these categories. Luckily, we don't have any bored people on the internet, so it seems like you are all entertained so far, which is great. All right. So before I get into my presentation about science and nature, I want to let Eric from the All of Us Research Program introduce himself.
Thank you, Caroline. And thank you, the audience, for taking time to be part of this, this wonderful event. So my name is Eric Wilson. I've been involved in research for over 20 years. I've started in the field of HIV, tuberculosis, ended up here now with All of Us research program, and we'll get into the why it's so exciting, such an exciting program to be a part of. So looking forward to our conversation.
Awesome, yes, and we're going to hear from Eric after I give a brief introduction to citizen science and talk about 2 of the projects that the Network of the National Library of Medicine has featured for Citizen Science Month. So to kind of kick things off, millions of people enjoy science and nature. You probably count yourself in this number. If you like going outside and looking at birds or butterflies, if you've ever stared up at the night sky and tried to find a constellation, if you're curious about your brain and you wish you understood how it worked, then you are in good company. There are millions of people just like you who want to understand the world around them. And the good news is thousands of scientists need volunteers. As we say at SciStarter, scientists don't have enough eyes, ears, or perspectives to answer every question that needs answered. They need your help. There is research that wouldn't be done without you. This can be by collecting or analyzing data for an ongoing research project. And we hear the word data and we get really scared, right? But data can just be our impressions of the world around us. We can say, it was raining a lot today, and that can be a valuable piece of data. Data can be pictures that we take if we have a smartphone or access to a disposable camera that we give to a researcher to illustrate, this particular bird was here on this day, which shows that the migration is, happening along these lines. Data can just be what we see around us. Data can also be analyzed. We hear the word analysis and we get really scared. We think, oh, I might need a lab coat to do that, or I need to be, sequestered somewhere far away to conduct analysis. I need years and years of training, but that's not true. Many projects have been designed so you can, as long as you do a simple training or you follow simple instructions, you can analyze data, you can analyze information in a real way to make a difference for research. And we are stronger together than we are apart. So that's the beauty of citizen science. We crowdsource, we leverage the power of the crowd to answer questions that we couldn't answer without each other. But sometimes they can't find each other. These passionate volunteers who want to make a difference can't find the researchers who need their help. That's where SciStarter comes in. We connect them. So we connect you to the real science that you can do. There are thousands of projects, events, and tools that researchers have added to SciStarter for you to discover. And if you make a SciStarter account, you're able to track, and for many projects, you're able to track the number and frequency of your contributions in your SciStarter dashboard. This is partially for bragging rights. You can look back at the end of the year and say, wow, I accomplished this much research with this many projects. But it's also good because it allows us to assess collective impact, how much we're moving science forward. And one reason why we're here, we mentioned it a little bit already, but it is Citizen Science Month. So if during this program you find that you're enjoying it and you want to keep participating, go to citizensciencemonth.org and you'll be able to delve into hundreds of events from all over the world that people have added, including 6 different events. This is the first of 6 with All of Us California. So what is citizen science? Ultimately, we define citizen science as a collaboration between researchers and those of us who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. So it's how people can make an impact on issues they care about and help science. And I promise you, no matter what you're interested in, you can find a citizen science project that allows you to turn your curiosity about the world into real impact, whether you like astronomy, whether you are really into plants, whether you like looking back at natural history collections and learning how species have changed over time. Whatever you are curious about, citizen science is as diverse as science itself. And there are so many different ways that you can get involved and get started. No matter who you are, where you are, how old you are, what your background is, you can be a citizen scientist. And SciStarter is here to help you get started. So we have a video. I'm going to make sure I am sharing my sound because I always forget to do that. And let's tune in.
Citizen science can change the world. These programs mobilize people from all walks of life to contribute to scientific research, from teachers to artists, Girl Scouts to business professionals, students to retirees. Citizen science taps into the power of the people, where they are. Scientific data gathered by individuals and communities gives concerned or curious people, decision makers, and scientists access to more information than they could possibly gather on their own. Your contributions lead to breakthrough research, new approaches, and expedited scientific discoveries. So how can you start to make a difference? SciStarter makes it easy to find the perfect project for you. With a database of more than 3,000 citizen science projects to choose from, you can search by topic, location, age level, and more. Anything that sparks your curiosity is a mere click away. SciStarter can help you take valuable actions to contribute to the projects you're most passionate about. Their tools database provides you with exactly what you need to get started. And with events held across the nation throughout the year, SciStarter brings fun citizen science opportunities directly to you. Visit the SciStarter website to begin exploring the possibilities of scientific participation and create a personal account to receive project suggestions tailored especially for you. Together with SciStarter, we can all play a part in scientific research that can change the world for the better.
So there you have it. That's SciStarter in a nutshell. We connect you to the real science that you can do. Over 3,000 projects, events, and tools. And we have over 100,000 registered users now, and millions of additional visitors. So if you have an opportunity you want people to discover, even if it's just, a citizen science event at your local library or with your faith community or whatever you're organizing, you can add that to SciStarter for folks to discover it, and you can find a project to get involved with. But we fully recognize that can be a little overwhelming. So that's why we do events like this one, to narrow the scope a little bit and make it easier for you to get started. I always like showing this cartoon. I think you'll be delightfully surprised by the quality of my work on this assignment. I crowdsourced it. I think it really underlines the conceptual innovation inherent in citizen science, because when I used to think of science, I would think of anxiety. I would think of tests that I failed in the 10th grade. I thought it was all memorization, and I thought there were real barriers for me to participate. But then I discovered citizen science, and I realized by doing something as simple as counting the number of monarch butterflies I see, I was able to be part of the scientific process. I was able to do meaningful research. And it wasn't about failing, it was about collaborating. I wasn't being graded, I was pretty much in the world's biggest group project. So I think that's one thing that you can mention to people when you bring up citizen science, that we're doing this together and we're just trying our best. And these projects are designed in such a way that we'll know exactly what we need to do to get started. And citizen science is important. It's real science. There are so many things that we know that we wouldn't know without citizen scientists. So I'm happy to provide citations for these upon request. Most of these come from papers published by Dr. Karen Cooper at NC State. But because of citizen scientists, we now know that bird populations in North America have declined by 50%. And we also know that birds are breeding earlier. This is because of citizen scientists, just like you, noting when they saw what type of birds and where, and sending that data to ongoing projects. And then these projects are able to draw conclusions from that data. We also know, because of citizen scientists, that there are 50 plus types of bacteria that live in your belly button. This is a cool project. It's out of the Rob Dunn lab at NC State. And basically they asked volunteers from around the country to swab their belly buttons and send those samples in. And that was the finding. There are 50 plus types of bacteria. So if you ever feel lonely, think again. You have all of your bacteria to keep you company. We also know, because of citizen scientists, that the first flowering of 19 species of plants has moved 9 days earlier over the past decade. And because of citizen scientists, we know that there's a new type of aurora in the night sky. So an aurora is an astronomical phenomenon, like the Northern Lights. And the citizen scientists who discovered it, they named it Steve. I guarantee you, if NASA had gotten to this first, I don't think they would have named it Steve, but the citizen scientists found it and they got to name it whatever they wanted. We also know, because of the observations of citizen scientists, that there's another Jupiter-sized planet. And we know that invasive mosquito species have arrived in Germany. And I included this one because it's relevant to our project we're discussing today. In one weekend in 2019, citizen scientists, people just like you, accomplished 2,566 research hours, or 3.5 months of lab equivalent research time, for an Alzheimer's research project called Stallcatchers. And believe it or not, the team that came in first for this, who accomplished the most research, was the Los Angeles Public Library in California. So California always makes us proud with citizen science work. And we mentioned, it's a little overwhelming that you have thousands of opportunities to explore. So we tried to make this selection a little bit smaller with our scistarter.org/NLM page. If you go here, you'll find featured projects selected by the Network of National Library of Medicine to get you started in citizen science. And you'll also find an Intro to Citizen Science tutorial available in English and in Spanish for you to delve a little bit deeper into these topics. So if you're looking for a place to get started, I recommend this page in particular. And now our featured projects, Stallcatchers. So you heard me mention this a few times in the presentation, and it may be blowing your mind a little bit that you can actually play a game to accelerate Alzheimer's research, but it is true. The basic premise of Stallcatchers is they want you to watch these videos on a loop in the game interface. You can play the game on any device that connects to the internet, be it a computer, a tablet, or a smartphone, and you indicate whether or not the blood vessel you see in the video, the circled blood vessels, the flow of white that most closely matches the shape of the circle, you indicate whether or not that is stalled or it's flowing. By making that simple annotation, by just going through the simple training and learning how to do that, you're able to help these researchers test different things about Alzheimer's disease. And the leader of Stallcatchers, Pietro Michelucci of the Human Computation Institute in Cornell University, made this video. So I'm going to play it for you so you can see some of the faces behind these citizen science projects.
Hi, my name is Pietro Michelucci, and I lead the Eyes on Alz project, a citizen science project to speed up Alzheimer's disease research. But we need your help. So we created an online game called Stallcatchers. The basic idea is this. We give you a virtual microscope, and through this online microscope, you look inside the brain of a mouse, in particular at the blood vessels in the mouse brain. And then we draw an outline around one of these blood vessels and ask you a simple question. Is the blood in that blood vessel flowing, or is it stuck? When it's stuck, we call it a stall, which is why we call the game Stallcatchers. So that's the basic idea. We show you a blood vessel and you tell us if you think it's flowing or stalled. By playing Stallcatchers, you join a supportive community of catchers, and you can learn about Alzheimer's disease in the process and hopefully also have a bit of fun. So we hope you'll give it a try and help us speed up Alzheimer's research. Thanks.
So one finding of these researchers is that there's 30% less blood flow in the brain with Alzheimer's. And the reason why is stalls, clogged blood vessels in the brain. Another finding being pioneered by this research team is restoring blood flow restores memory and reduces other symptoms in mice. So there's the little mouse. However, to do this analysis, to look at all these different videos and analyze the brains of mice for stalled or flowing blood vessels, it can take 6 to 12 months to answer one research question in the lab. So that's why stall catchers is so important. It's having you all, it's leveraging the power of the crowd to make these annotations so we can speed up the research. There are over 28,000 catchers from around the world and 50 to 100 playing every single day. And this speeds up the research by times 5. It's a really big deal. So rather than taking 6 to 12 months to answer a research question, it can take 1 to 2 months. So instead of a year, it can take as little as 1 month to have a new insight about Alzheimer's disease. And this is what it looks like. So you see that video of the mouse brain, it's playing on a loop. You can kind of pause it and use the slider differently. And you look at the circle to flow of white, you look at the blood vessel that most closely matches the shape of the circle, and you indicate if you see any black spots in that flow of white that don't move. And if you do, that's a stall, and you mark the blood vessel as stalled, and you analyze it. One of the main questions I get from people who play this game is, what if I accidentally classify a stall as a flow or a flow as a stall? Well, I ruined the whole research project. The answer is no. So computers aren't good enough to conduct this analysis yet, right? We still need the human eye to indicate whether or not a blood vessel is stalled or flowing. But what computers are good enough to do is to rank your contributions based on how often you agree with the other catchers. So thousands of people are looking at each video, so we're able to trust the result. And the more often your annotations agree with everyone else's, the higher weight your observations receive. And the more you play, the higher weight your contributions receive. So the longer you play and the more often you agree with the crowd, the more trusted you are. So you don't have to worry about contributing. You can just try your best, and you're still a meaningful part of this group, this collaboration of people who are all working toward the same goal. And these are answering real research questions. I could not tell you what any of the words on this screen mean. But because I'm a stall catchers contributor, I'm cited here in part in this major research result that's published in a scientific journal. So I think that really underlines why citizen science is such a valuable tool. You don't have to know every single detail, all the minutia about Alzheimer's disease to contribute to this project and move research forward. And it's real science. You're cited here. You are part of the team as a contributor to stall catchers. And the main goal of stall catchers is to piece together a molecular pathway for reduced blood flow in Alzheimer's disease. But what you really need to know is you are part of a group. You're part of concerned, curious, and motivated people who want an end to Alzheimer's. So I think we have some time. I'm going to go ahead and demo it for you. So I'm going to exit my screen. I'll go to scistarter.org/NLM, my featured projects page. I'm already logged into SciStarter, but if you don't have an account yet, you can make an account on the left sidebar. And I'm going to click on stall catchers. I'll click participate. And if I make my stall catchers account with the same email address I used to make my SciStarter account, the number and frequency of my contributions will track in my SciStarter dashboard. I'm actually going to change my team. What team do I want to be on? Let's see. I think I want to be on, I'll join the Apache Junction Library today. They're a really cool library in Arizona. All right, I'm going to play this video on a loop. There is a blood vessel circled there. We know it's a blood vessel because it's the flow of white, and we need to look at the flow of white that most closely matches the shape of the circle. And if I see a persistent black spot in that flow of white that doesn't move, I know it's a stall. I'm pretty sure this one's flowing though. And I'm correct. It looks like 3,064 other people agreed with me. And that's one of the cool things about stall catchers. You're able to note if you really disagree with everybody else, you can say, I swear there's a stall. I see it at frame 74. So you can make your voice heard. And I love seeing the super catchers on the left side. Just as one example, Carol, aka Mima, I think she's a grandmother of 7. And she plays stall catchers every day. And the reason why she started is she really loved playing games on her phone. And the fact that she was able to discover stall catchers and play games to make a difference for people was huge for her and really exciting. All right, let's do one more before we move on. And you see this video, it's not the best quality. You'd encountered this in the lab too. That's just the way it is. I'm pretty sure this is flowing. All right. And I have played a lot of stall catchers, so I get some of the harder videos. My contributions are weighted a little higher. So that's why I'm getting videos that aren't the best quality at the moment, because I think these are newer and need to be analyzed. But I think you all get the gist of how to play. If we have some time at the end, I'm going to have you all vote in the chat about whether or not you think it's stalled or flowing. But we have one more project to get through, and then we'll be able to dive into all of us, which is so exciting. Our next project is IC Change. And this is also featured on the scistarter.org/NLM page. So IC Change is a global community of people just like you who are documenting the real life effects of climate change and contributing to solutions. So you might be wondering, what on earth does that mean? It means that when you make an IC Change account, and this is another SciStarter affiliate, so if you make your IC Change account with the same email address you used to make your SciStarter account, the number and frequency of your contributions will track in your SciStarter dashboard. But if you make an IC Change account, you go to their app or website and just post what you see in your community. So I'm in Florida and there's a lot of sunny day flooding. I will post on IC Change and say, the sidewalk flooded today. This is a little unusual. I didn't expect to see that in this area of town. IC Change always says you're the expert in your own backyard. So you're supposed to give your own impression of what you're seeing and contextualize it based on what you know about your community. And you can also learn from others. And IC Change really respects privacy. So they only put the city where you observed. Your address is not publicly visible. And IC Change users have made a difference. In California, posts about drought-stressed trees led to a deep dive story about the future of urban trees. And in New Orleans, IC Change has partnered with local officials to work on stormwater engineering plans and to help the health department understand heat waves. So posts that people just like you, volunteers just like you, made about their communities informed the understanding of leaders in the community to help make a difference for resiliency. And people from all around the globe have contributed to IC Change. The great thing about IC Change is it shows that we really matter. So the human impact, the impact on our lives of weather, climate, and the environment is data. That matters to researchers. That allows them to have a full picture. The words and pictures and impressions that we contribute to IC Change are what we call qualitative data, as opposed to quantitative data. Quantitative data is, a temperature measurement, or the number of inches of rain, or data that IC Change might get from a partner like NASA. But that's only part of the picture. They need the human side as well. They need that qualitative data. And by contributing to IC Change, you help complete that understanding, which has big implications for knowing what's going on with our environment. And they have so many different sub-investigations in IC Change. There's the flooding investigation. There are investigations about air quality, which has big implications for human health, and so much more. So I urge you to get on there and start explaining what you see in your own community. So basically, it's connecting people to their environments to come to solutions together. I wanted to show some quick images from Miami because I'm based in Florida. And I think what they're doing there is really, really cool. And I think, and I don't know what environmental problems are on the ground in your own community, or environmental changes or things you're observing. So take this example from where I am, and Claudia Sebastini is awesome. She works for IC Change and has a partnership with local resilience leaders in Miami. Take inspiration from them and try to make your community a hotspot for IC change by contributing your observations. So in Florida, we have a lot of issues with flooding. So you're able to snap some pictures, explain what's unusual, and contribute that to IC change. And you're supposed to do it in a safe way. So I think for example, in some areas of California, I've been on IC change and seen in the feed people taking pictures of air quality. When there's limited visibility because of wildfires, for example, people will post that observation on IC change. Obviously don't stay somewhere that's unsafe. Like in Florida, for example, I wouldn't stick around in the middle of a hurricane to post an IC change. But if I'm able to in my daily life and to give the impact of it on me, I definitely do so. And I urge you to do so as well. One thing I contribute a lot on IC change is my flowers. So outside my window, I have these flowers and the temperature has been varying a lot. And I think it's been kind of weird. It's been unseasonal. And I don't think my flowers know what season it is. They'll kind of die and then they'll come back to life. And then some of the leaves will be dead, but the flower will be blooming. And I'll take pictures of that and post it on IC change. And I'll say, I think the bizarre variability in temperatures is negatively influencing my flowers. And believe it or not, that helps contribute to the understanding of phenology that these researchers have. Phenology is the study of seasons. And we can connect all of this back to health and well-being, right? Because we're so impacted by our environment. We are in our environment all the time. Everything is the environment. So whether you're in an urban area or a rural area, wherever you happen to be, I hope that you're able to contribute to IC change and to help researchers understand what's going on the ground in your community. So with that, those were our two featured projects and our basic introduction for citizen science. Now I'm going to pass the mic to Eric, who's going to talk about the All of Us research program and some of the insights that you can contribute to when you become a part of All of Us. Eric, take it away.
Thank you, Caroline. So it's exciting. If people are excited about the citizen science projects, they'll be excited about the All of Us research program because there's so much correlation between everything that you've described and the All of Us research program. If we could go to the next slide. Thank you. On my end, I'm not sure if others are saying that we go. I like to set up the stage, right, by describing precision medicine or defining precision medicine, because the All of Us research program is based on that. So for those who may not be familiar, it's a relatively new term, and it's an emerging approach to disease treatment, right, where the providers and scientists and researchers taking a look at your health from a more holistic approach, a more holistic point of view, right? So they're just not looking at you, the individual, or isolated circumstances. Precision medicine is looking at your lifestyle, your individual, you as an individual, your biology, and your environment, right? And so, this is a really neat and radical change in how science is looking at treatment and prevention of our health. Next slide, please. So what is the All of Us research project? Right. Again, as I mentioned, as we go through some of the information that I'll be sharing with you, you will see the similarities in what Caroline just described. It's a very interesting and historic project that is trying to gather information from 1 million or more people across the United States, as Caroline mentioned before. And what is with the purpose of improving our health, right? As I mentioned, by not just looking at one component of an individual, but your lifestyle, socioeconomics, your environment, your biology. And research will look to discovering new things using this precision medicine approach. And you see here is Dr. Francis Collins. He's the current director of the National Institute of Health, who is the agency that provides funding for the All of Us Research Project. Next slide, please. So how is the program looking to accomplish everything that it's looking to accomplish, right? Its mission, for example, which is to accelerate health and medical breakthroughs, enabling individualized prevention, treatment, and care for all of us. Again, the core definition of what precision medicine is. Let's remember that it's individualized medicine, to look at it that way. And one example that we often use as a description of what precision medicine is eyeglasses, right? I wear glasses. I see that Carolina is also wearing glasses. Mine were made for me. Caroline's were made for her. They were tailored, they were designed specifically for her based on her needs. So if Caroline and I interchange our glasses, they won't quite work for either one, or may not work for either one of us, right? So again, honing in or emphasizing what precision medicine is. This is the best example that we often use to describe precision medicine. So anyway, accomplishing this mission of accelerating health research, the program is looking to accomplish that by these three components that you see on your screen. By the first one, for example, by nurturing relationships, right? So what that basically means is that we're not looking at people to come and provide data and be done with us, right? The program is not going to be, and it's not a fly-by-night research program, one. And two, that we want to ensure that the people that participate, they are partnering with us, right? Not just providing data and be done with that. So that's one of the components that the program is looking to accomplish this mission. Again, developing real relationships with the people that engage or join the program. It's also looking to deliver the largest biomedical resource ever, right? Making it easy and safe and free as possible for everyone involved. And also by catalyzing a robust ecosystem of researchers and researchers and funders that can have access to this data and make use of it. And we'll explain a little bit more of that. Next slide, please, Caroline. So keeping in mind, right, what the All of Us program is looking to do, which is to accelerate research data and improve our health. So one of the things that we're looking to accomplish, just imagine, right, if we can prevent chronic pain that so many millions of people across the US suffer each year, right? Figuring mechanisms as to why it affects some individuals and not others, right? Again, precision medicine, right? Or if we can develop better pain medicine that is not addictive, right? Again, some people are more tolerant to it, others are not. And some people have certain levels of tolerance to certain pain medication or medication in general, and others do not, right? Or if we could develop more cancer cures that will work the first time, as opposed to in some of us who may have experience dealing with either working in a cancer-related facility or a family member. The things that go through, there's not a magic bullet, right? There's usually, let's try this and let's modify this, let's tweak this treatment. Well, what if we can unlock, something within a particular individual that we can say, hey, you know what, you have this type of cancer. This is specifically what we know would work in your case, in your individual case. Next slide, Caroline, please. So, in all of this, right, why why join the All of Us? Why be interested in All of Us? Well, there's some of the things that I've been mentioning. There's things to gain for the participant. For example, I'm enrolled in the program, right? So what's in it for me? This is one of the most impactful things and the unique things about the All of Us research program. Why, right? We often use, like the term say there, invisible no more. The reason for that being is, or the reason, or giving a little context to that phrase, is that traditionally research has been relegated or has been focused on certain groups of individuals, right? White males of a certain region, right? To kind of fit into a typical research being conducted, where the All of Us differs from all of that, from that traditional way of conducting research, is like the name says, all of us, right? So the program, the research is open to everyone, 18 years or over or older, and not being in prison. Because of ethical histories and no way of ensuring that is being conducted the way that it should be. But anyway, if you're 18 years old or older, you are eligible to be part of this research, regardless of your creed, color, your race, your geographic location within the United States. You are eligible to join the All of Us research program, right? And so again, being a partner in the program, I am part, like Caroline was mentioning when she was describing the project under the citizen science, right? I'm an integral part of this program. I am contributing to improving the health either of myself, my community, or my future, my kids, my grandchildren. So that is a direct contribution that I am making. I am part of that history. Also, the program would give me a chance to learn about my own health, my individual health, right? And again, going back to the term of precision medicine, it is what the program is ultimately looking to accomplish, right? What affects me as a person of color, as a person of African descent, as a person from the Caribbean, as a Latino, right? What affects me as an individual within my community or my type of community, as opposed to someone else, right? That lives in a different location, and also being part of this project gives me an opportunity and gives everyone that's involved an opportunity of other research associated to this, right? So it's not just limiting my interaction or my contribution to this particular program. Being part of this ecosystem, being part of this community gives me an opportunity to see what else is going on that may be of interest to me. Next slide, please. So we saw what's in it for me as an individual, right? Being part of this project. What's in it for researchers, right? The people that collect the data. That doesn't necessarily have to be a scary situation or a scary term, like Caroline mentioned. Research, what the benefit to researchers is that it saves time. It saves them time by having a source, a huge source of data that they can tap into and look at particular things that they may be interested in their specific community, right? Again, let's remember that the program is trying to collect data, health-related data, from 1 million people or more. So having all this data, having this data, all this amount of data in a warehouse, researchers won't necessarily have to create a research, of their own to find out, for example, what is the incidence of diabetes in a certain community? How is a certain community affected by mineral poison in their community, for example, right? We have all of that sort of stuff compiled in one in one location that they can tap into. So that's the benefit, or that's the what's in for researchers, right? Next slide, please. And just as important, what is the benefit for your provider, right? Knowing all this information, right? The importance that, you know, that this type of research has for my doctor is that my doctor will know specifically how to address certain things for me, right? As one of his or her patient. It would give my provider a better understanding, right, of how environment and lifestyle factors affect my health, so that they know, so that he or she would know how to address me again, precision medicine, right? And also they will have an increased knowledge of different risk factors in response to treatment among diverse populations, right? So it's not just knowing what a reaction what a response may be to the general population that they have, but rather, again, each individual patients that they see. Next slide, please. So this is what we get to the fun part, right? How do I become part of the research program, of the All of Us research program here in California? I would go through different processes, very simple, you know, and they're self-explanatory in detail, because we want to ensure that you know what you're consenting to, right? The benefits that you're consenting to, and ensure that you understand that and be excited about it. So the first thing will be to enroll in the program, and we'll have a link where people can do that. And once you enroll in the program, like similar to what Caroline was describing, you create an account, right? And you give consent for the program to have access to your electronic health record. The reason for that being is because having access to your electronic health record, so being linked to the electronic health records, any findings, right, will be connected to your EHR, right? And your EHR will be connected to your provider. So that's the first step. The second step, after you create an account, you'll go through a series of surveys, again, related to your lifestyle, your environment, your health, et cetera, et cetera. And there are 6 altogether. There's the basic survey on general health. There's an overall health, personal habits, healthcare access and utilization, family history, and personal health history. There, down the line, could be additional surveys related to the program, but that is up to you to continue to participate. You will provide physical measurements, and what these physical measurements are, basically, you will take your blood pressure, your BMI, your heart rate, height, hip circumference, and your weight, typical things that, you know, are done at your doctor's office. And lastly, if you agreed, once you agree to all these steps, the last thing that you will provide is blood samples or saliva, if blood is not, you know, it's difficult to be done in any particular situation, a urine sample, and these samples will be stored in the program's biobank. So the blood is used to, again, right, get insight into your health, you know, at that level, and also to serve to provide one of the key things and most important, interesting things that people, you know, are drawn towards the program, that and that is your genetic information, right? What you may be prone to, or what you may be at risk for, a lot of us are walking around not knowing, right, that we have risk factors to certain conditions, to certain diseases. And you can get that typically at your doctor's office. You can have a genetic test be done to determine those things. But this program is providing it for free. So, typically that would cost a couple of $1,000s, depending on what you or your doctor may be looking for. The program is providing that for free. That's one of the greatest advantage of being enrolled in the program. Now, it will not, or it may not happen right away. This is research after all, right? So it's not like going to the doctor where a genetic test will be done and you'll get it in 48 hours. No, it doesn't happen as, that quickly, but it does happen. Again, one of the advantages of being part of this program that is different from other research that has been typically done in the past is that people are getting results back. So it's not just the researchers, the program collecting data from me, they're also giving data back to me so that I can be empowered to take advantage and take action, right? If the data comes back with something actionable, then I can say, oh, wait a second. Oh, so according to this, I am, at a higher risk of suffering a stroke or in cases of females, a female may find out that she is at risk of breast cancer, right? So having that data in advance gives you the power to say, oh, wait a second, so I can actually do something about this at this particular time, right? And not have to wait until in the event that something may happen in, maybe a little bit late. Next slide, please. So I've talked about a lot about information that is being collected. Let me address, a big elephant that often pops up in our room, and that is people asking, well, you're collecting, it's a lot of information you're asking of me. What are you doing with it? Is it safe? Who's managing, who's seeing my information? One of the first things that the answer to that is that, your information, first of all, is de-identified. And de-identified meaning that when I provide my information to the program, my last name, first name, et cetera, all of that becomes just a number, a project number, right? So that if by any chance someone happens to, run into, all they know is that my patient identification number is, nothing else is connected to it. That's the first thing. On top of that, the information is also encrypted. So that's a second level of security, right? That the program ensures to safeguard my private information and everyone else's that is joined. The program also conducts, just for safekeeping, conducts its own rigorous audits, right? So the program will act as hackers. The program hires people to act as hackers and try to break into where the information is being kept to make sure that, we identify any vulnerabilities. If they were able to get inside, how easy was it? So far, that has not been the case, that we can report on. And so, your confidentiality and your privacy is a very high priority to the program. Next slide, please. And so again, kind of summing up what the program entails, right? Participation is open to all, as I mentioned. The only limitation so far is that you must be 18 years of age, 18 years or older, and not be in prison. The participants reflect the rich diversity that is the United States, right? As I mentioned before, Traditionally, research, would try to get a group of individuals to conduct certain studies. Now, the program is saying why conduct a research on a group of individuals that is going to guide health policies, right? That is going to affect different groups of individuals, right? Why not involve everyone in that way? We get a better sense. Participants, as I mentioned, they're not just research subjects. You are partners, right, with the program. So you're with us as long as you want. We're with you for the duration, of the project and beyond. Trust. We try to discuss, that and be very transparent. Something very important. And participant, again, as I mentioned before, they will have access to their information. Next slide, please. I think we're winding down. So, kind of summing up the importance of the Olympus research program in the field of research. Is providing equity, right? Diversity and inclusion, kind of encapsulating the things that I just mentioned before. It's not just limiting it to just one group or set of individuals. Everyone is welcome. Next slide, please. That is one of our flyers that, again, really, reflects what the program represents, right? We see individuals across ages, races, color, and ethnicity. Next slide. And this is our contact information, our main phone number and my email number, my email address, sorry. I know I kind of sped through that. I just try to, when I'm doing this in this type of forum, right, try to stay away from the more scientific jargon, medical terms and stuff like that. Try to make it as simple as I can. But if anyone has any questions, I'm free to answer any questions, address any concerns. So.
Yeah, and we have a few questions that came through in the chat and the Q&A function. So I think we have time to address a few of them. While we do that, I'm going to leave this slide up so you all can get the links to join all of us to find more Citizen Science Month goodness and to fill out the survey for today's event. And we also have 5 other events with All of Us California, and you all are invited to all of them. But our first question is, what test results are provided back to the participant?
Your general run-of-the-mill test results that you get from your doctor's office, right? Cholesterol, lipids, et cetera, et cetera. The most important one that people look forward to, as I mentioned, is genetic predisposition, ethnicity, genetic traits rather, right? That seems to interest a good number of folks. Sort of like, and I hate to compare it because we're not quite the same, but the same things that people look for when they do a 23andMe test, except that ours is more robust and private. Your information is not being shared with anyone.
That's awesome. And a similar question came through the chat, and Teresa did an awesome job of answering that. Teresa's from All of Us California. Yeah. But I wanted to have you kind of quickly recap it for people who might be watching the recording. Could you explain the functions of the All of Us data browser?
So the All of Us data browser, it's, again, data is being available to folks, being provided to individuals. So people can access anyone can access this data and take it and look at some milestones that the program has accomplished, right? And what things that we're looking. I have, for example, how many people have joined, demographics about the people that have joined and stuff like that. I don't know what else Teresa mentioned, but I think those are the core things of the data browser. Again, the important thing is that anyone can access that data.
Awesome. And I think the last thing we'll address in the Q&A is someone made a comment. They said genetic and ancestry traits. We do not do testing, just analysis. I'm not sure if they're referring to all of us there, but I guess could you elaborate for us the difference between testing and analysis for genetic traits and ancestry traits?
I don't know what that person meant. I'm not quite sure that I understand the response, but
same here.
Yeah. So the information that is provided in terms of your genetic traits, again, like 23andMe, what your ancestry is, right? And the other component of the genetic information that people are getting into is, if you are predisposed to certain conditions, if anything shows up, that that is medically actionable, you be notified of that information. Again, and I hate to use this as the most, because it's not the only example, but, predisposition to breast cancer, for example. And again, hate to use it because we don't want to say that is the only thing that is, that can be actionable or that can be found out. It's just something that people, I think, can relate more, right? Because there have been so many examples of celebrities, right? That have gotten this information and have taken action, sometimes radical actions, to have a better outcome or better chance of surviving breast cancer. I hope I answered the question. If not,
yeah, and if that was your question for anyone who asked it in the audience, feel free to chime in again and let us know if there's anything else you want us to address. We want to make sure we cover everything. I know we're almost at the end. I think, Eric, I just want to ask, do you have any remaining calls to action for us or any closing thoughts?
Always. Again, the Olympus research program is unique. It's unique in that is asking participation from everyone, right? And it's really incumbent upon us. We're given an opportunity now to participate, right? Something that typically was not done in the past. And there's been some horrible history associated with research, and we address that. We know that. Like the most common one that, again, that people may relate to is the Tuskegee experiment, right? We acknowledge that, and so a ton of mechanisms are put in place now to ensure that doesn't happen. Providing safety to people that join. And so, again, I know it's difficult for people to be convinced of that, but, we have an opportunity, communities across the United States have an opportunity to participate and be a part of, something like this that can impact the health outcomes of our communities. Again, regardless of your color, creed, religion, all those sort of things. It's an all-encompassing thing. So, this is a great opportunity for us to be a part of.
That is awesome. I think that's the perfect note to end on. For everybody tuning in, we have links in the chat for you. I'll also provide these in a follow-up email. They include the link to join all of us, which we encourage you all to dive into, a survey for today to let us know how we did and how we can improve future events. And if there are things you really liked, you never want us to change, you can tell us that too. A link to all the other All of Us California events we're doing throughout April, Citizen Science Month, a link to today's recording in case you want to share it with a friend or family member, and a link to the featured projects we talked about, including IC Change and stall catchers. So thank you so much to Eric for educating us today and for the work you do with all of us. And thank you to Teresa from All of Us California for making this possible. I will see you all again at a Citizen Science Month event very soon, including our next All of Us California event on Friday.